Delivery.
My name is Ryan. I am the Chief Operations Officer of Convicted Printing, also known as COO.
My name's Tom, and Tom Schultz, I guess if you want the last name, and I'm the CEO of Convicted Printing.
So we actually met each other in 2013 at Starbucks, and we ended up working at the same Starbucks together at Mount Carmel on 60 in Brandon. And so we worked there together for
Some years.
at least a couple of years, because 2015 is when we started. So at least a couple of years we worked together. And over that time, Tom swindled me into becoming part of the band that he wanted to start. And that band started as I Shot the Albatross, eventually became Fourth Teller. And we're still technically in that band. We have more stuff to do with that. And so we started
construction.
Yeah, we started playing together, ended up doing some shows, and I think we started playing shows in 2014,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly. So we were doing that first, and we were also, he also got me to become a part of an organization called DCN, which stands for Diversified Christian Noise. And what we were doing there was benefit concert series where we had like festivals, other bands coming out, organizations coming out to raise awareness about different subjects. And one of the things that we wanted to raise awareness about was human trafficking, because that was just in our hearts. We discovered it somehow. I don't even remember when we learned about it, but it was probably in our 20s that we really knew about it. So we found out about that. We started an event called Freedom Fest with the venue that we were doing. And we had different organizations come out about it. One of them was the Rachel Project. And around that time, someone also gave us a little 1x1 screen printing press to be able to save money on making shirts for ourselves. So we started doing that, and around that same time, I don't know exact timeline for this, but then we had Freedom Fest, raising awareness about human trafficking. One of the organizations, the Rachel Project, the head of that, her name was Karina, we met with her and said, how can two guys that are into the metal scene, whatever. At that time, we didn't look as into the metal as we do now with our long hair and our beards and everything, tats for him, everything. But we were like, how can two dudes help with human trafficking? Because we don't want people just to be aware. How do we actually do something about this? And she said, well, if more businesses were willing to hire ex-convicts, ex-felons, human trafficking survivors, because a lot of them end up having a conviction against them because they were the front person, maybe they had to do a drug deal or something like that, but they were forced into it. I know a lot of politics go into helping them get expunged from that and everything, but if more businesses were willing to hire people that have PTSD like that, etc., that it would really help a long way to get people out of feeling like they might need to go back to something like that. And so that's when it clicked for us. It was like, okay, we're starting to do the screen printing thing. Why don't we make that a business? And why don't we also try to eventually hire human trafficking survivors to help create some reintegration program of some sort? And that's been a vision of ours ever since. And that's one of the reasons why we named it Convicted Printing, because we had a conviction. We were convicted about that to make that difference, to use a business in that way. And then we're also double-edged sword talking about the ex-convict side, that some of them might have a conviction against them of those who we're going to be hiring.
So one of the main things we do is what's called the Artist Endorsement Project. That's where we work with bands and we basically give them sponsorships, and we do basically work out like discounts and all that kind of stuff. And then also we do a bunch of special deals and special offers for them and all that kind of stuff. And that is one of the places where I've really started branding the mission and vision, and letting them know, hey, here's what we're doing and all that kind of stuff. And the bands are there's been a big response from the bands. They're like, whoa, that's actually really tight. Another nice thing about working with bands is that a lot of bands want to get crazy multicolor designs and all that kind of stuff. And it's funny, when we actually bought another company last year, February 2020, and they worked with a lot of businesses, and they did a lot of high output, but they didn't do a lot of complex designs. And so we actually were noticing as we came in, we're like, oh wow, we're light years ahead of a lot of people who just do like, you know, either promotional items or like businesses or whatever, because like the bands are constantly pushing us with what they want, and we're like, oh my goodness, how do we print this? Like, this is crazy. So and obviously we want to do it with excellence, so it's like, all right, well, we got to step our game up, and it's like it offers us that opportunity to really like push ourselves and grow as a business and as screen printers and embroiderers and all that stuff. So basically, it's referred to garment decorator. That's kind of the term. It sounds silly when you say it, but that's technically what we are. So yeah, we do mostly it's screen printing and embroidery, but we have all kinds of other little things that we do as well. And we're actually going to be growing and expanding our offerings as we grow, so we can do more and, you know, do more like promotional items and stuff like that. So
The fact that we're hiring so many people in 1 year is a big milestone. And that people are taking over positions. Like the fact that 6 months ago, I was having to do all the embroidery. And now we have someone that promoted and showed enough passion and enough innovation and quality checking that Alex has now taken over the embroidery department head, and that I don't have to do that now. Now, I mean, obviously, if she's not here and it needs to get done, I can go in and do it. But like, being able to let go of something and have someone else that you can just trust to take care of it—that's a milestone in a sense. And then, did you want to say something?
I was just gonna say, it just occurred to me that now that we've hired Tyler to do the artwork, I think we're to the point where it's like you and I, except for printing the transparencies and the work order, that's the only thing that you and I are still hands-on in the process. Our responsibility as owners is to really, for me, I'm sure you're on the same page, the same conviction, is to create a workspace where people not only enjoy working there, but like are actually empowered to like be better versions of themselves. So for me, it's like, okay, it's like, well, I don't have to operate the press. That means I'm gonna go do something else that helps you, that makes your job and your life easier on the press. You know, I can go explore those other options and see what else we can bring to the business that makes it better for everybody.
Building the culture.
Yeah.
Literally like the feeling of family. Like everyone's really cool with each other. It doesn't even feel like they're bosses. It feels like they're like leaders, you know? And I love working here. Like, and it's not like I have to come here. It's like, I want to come here. Like, it's very fun.
I mean, the environment's great, very seamless. You know, it's not just about coming in, doing what they want you to do. It's like they want to hear your ideas. They want to hear what you can provide. And, you know, we just build off of each other more than just come here, sell, go home.
Almost everything that we expand to, Tom has said this, where every time we add something, we're just giving ourselves more problems.
New problems.
It is. It's new problems, because then you gotta like, okay, well, how do we standardize this? How do we do this properly? What's the temperature set gotta be? What's the speed? What's this? What's this? What's this? And that's like embroidery, vinyl, screen printing, everything. It's all like, how do we make sure this comes out with quality? And then we're still throwing new things as we go, like he was saying with some of the band stuff. Like one time recently, Makari got a shirt that had like this glass prism thing on the back. And it looked super good, but Tom was like, not good enough. What's one more thing we can do to it? Oh, we got this gloss coat thing that we can add to it. And he had a screen print add onto the prism, and it looked super glassy because of that. And that's something we never did before that. So we're constantly like causing ourselves problems.
Yeah, pretty much. That order took me pretty much 2 days to set up, and like there was 2 days worth of setup where I was here for 8 hours trying to get it right. Didn't work out. Had to come back the next day, took another few hours, got it set up, and then finally ran the job. So that was that was nuts. Yeah. But
so we're constantly troubleshooting. So when you ask what's one thing that you had to overcome, it's like almost every step of the way there's had to be something to overcome.
Yeah. I would say though, I think the biggest challenge we're working out now is we're to a point where we're growing towards like we have to hire a lot of new people. And obviously him and I have done a lot of it, or have had direct like supervision over what's happening. And it's to the point now, it's like we have some jobs that are happening without us even seeing it. And it's like one of those like instilling, like when we're doing it, it's obviously it's our baby and we want it to go out well, but it's like not everyone, you know, some people just come and they want a job. And now that's not to knock any of our people, all of our people work with excellence, but getting everybody on the same page where each step of the way, there's still that same concern for the end product for the customer. It's like, it's not like a matter of show. It's like, well, they're paying us to provide them something. Obviously, like we need to provide what we've been paid to do. So I think getting everybody like on, or like, you know, making sure that everybody's on that same page is kind of like, it's not a struggle, but it's definitely something that we're now coming up against that we haven't necessarily thought of before. Although we have thought of it, and it's something we haven't had to deal with yet, and we're now getting into it, but it's definitely something we actually thought ahead. Like all of our systems that we've built for our back end were specifically designed to scale. So the idea is like, I mean, we've had it working for a while where it's like each department, like with the you know, back end technological portion of communication, it's like departments don't even necessarily even have to talk to each other like physically for them to see, you know, the work order. This is, you know, each step of the way, this is what I need to do once that job has come across my desk, as it were. So we actually, as we've been growing, we've been keeping that in mind. It's like, all right, well, how do we scale? It's like, so it's like if we have, you know, part of the communication is Ryan tells me, oh, here's this job, here's what this job needs. It's like, well, that's going to break down once you start hiring more people because that direct line of communication may not be there. So we've kept that in mind to be able to scale. So that has definitely helped us be able to maintain that kind of consistency in production. But yeah, getting everybody trained and all that kind of stuff has been a big, not a challenge, but it's been that
We're in the trenches now. That's all. So yeah, we're almost letting go of all the positions that we've had. We're almost done with that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty.
And the
that's a
idea,
huge milestone
and
for
the
us.
idea there is for us to like go and innovate new things and add new stuff and like
and set up the team for success.
Right.
And then we're able to say, because like in the trench of like taking care of the embroidery machine, just for example, thread break, I have a sales call. Now I gotta go talk to this customer and like, oh, so much to like think about all at the same time. You can't stay super focused on any specific thing to make it really good. But when someone else is taking over it in any of these positions, I'm just giving that as an example because of my direct view on that, is now that she's taking care of it and she's building the SOPs and all that stuff for it, now it's like, okay, what's something that we need to do beyond for embroidery?
right.
What's something else that we can add? And it's like, oh, we can do patches if we start learning how to do that. And then let's get the kit set for it. And it's like being able to look at something that's expanding it versus being in the trench of it the whole time. We want to see people continue to come in, promote, take over, empower, encourage, help everyone be a part of something that helps impact the community in different ways. We don't know exactly how that's going to look. We don't know exactly how it's going to look with the reintegration program, but we're moving in the direction towards that. Constantly, we're keeping our eyes and ears open about it as we talk with the other organizations and everything. So a lot of it is like, we don't know exactly where it's going to go. We're just going up. We're just trying to like constantly go that direction.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we start understanding more clearly, this is something we've got to achieve. This is something we got to achieve. And then you start getting the rungs in the ladder, I guess you could say, as we continue to go up.
And taking opportunities. I think we're both opportunists, and so it's like if we see an opportunity, like, hey, let's try and capitalize on that. You know, it's one of those things you got to be careful of because you can just, everything's an opportunity. Everything's always possible, but unless you actualize it, it's going to be nothing. But yeah, it's like we kind of like, I mean, I kind of put it as like we're kind of along for the ride, and obviously we're working our asses off to direct it in a productive manner. But it's like, you know, if something comes along our way and it's like, oh, this is actually really cool, let's take advantage of it.